Now, am I audible? बता दो. Am I audible? Fine. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, how is everyone here in offline? You attended last session? Okay. Your name is Arushi. Okay. So, today we will be discussing the current affairs, that how we have to follow current affairs. So, this is basically the orientation class. In this class, what we can expect is that which sources are to be followed, which newspapers are to be followed, are newspapers really need to be followed or not, right? And what is the importance of all these things. So this is the thing. So as you can see on the PPT, it is written current affairs enigma. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by this enigma? Nandana, no, I cannot hear you. Unmute yourself and then speak. No, I am not able to hear you. Just wait a minute. Yeah, now. Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay. So what do you mean by enigma? Huh? Paheli? Yeah, something like this. So solving the English comprehensions with the help of Hindi words in CSAT, right? So problem is that when we talk about current affairs, so we generally feel that everything which is coming in newspapers or current affair magazines all have to be followed, right? But this is the biggest issue, that everything under the sun is not the part of UPSC syllabus. Otherwise, we would be journalists. So there has to be some difference between a person who is preparing for civil services and a person who is preparing for journalism. तो जर्नलिज्म के लिए हर चीज़ इंपॉर्टेंट होगी, लेकिन यूपीएससी एस्पिरेंट के लिए नहीं है. But again, that does not mean that we have to be very narrowed in outlook, because when we today we will be seeing the syllabus also, and when you see the syllabus of different exams, so we know that in geography we cover geography, we cover history, we cover polity, we cover environment, we cover science and tech, we cover international relations, we cover ethics, we cover integrity, we cover a lot of things. So the point is that whatever news is coming in newspaper, it automatically becomes a part of some theme or some subject. इसके बाहर से तो कुछ आएगा नहीं, right? Because these are the only subjects which we know. But then which of those topics are important for the exam, that you will understand only with experience, only by attending the classes. When you will grow, when you will evolve in this preparation, only then you will come to know that which things are more important, right? So this is the basically enigma, that what we have to cover and how we have to cover. Okay. Now first you people tell me that what challenges you can think of will come in front of you in relation to current affairs. What do you think? What is the issue while preparing current affairs? Amount of information. True. Yeah, please, please. Yeah, amount of information. Sources. True. Then newspapers. And misinformation. Very important in these days for UPSC aspirants. For UPSC aspirants also, as well as journalism students also. Misinformation. No, no, not in newspapers. When we are talking about current affairs, and even if we are considering newspapers, so we can trust Hindu and Indian Express, but there are many other newspapers which can, right? So the thing is, in today's era, when we talk about misinformation, fake news, etc., it becomes very important. For example, when recently there was Operation Sindoor, and almost we captured Rawalpindi, Lahore, and Karachi. So obviously, on the basis of that information, you cannot quote those examples in your answers. The question aya that how do you analyze Indian defense forces, and in order to praise the defense forces, you are quoting the example that within 2 days we were able to capture Pakistan, half of Pakistan. So it cannot be like that, right? So the thing is that we have to be very peculiar, and that is why there are just two newspapers which we trust, that is Hindu and Indian Express. When I say trust, it is not about the credibility of other newspapers, it is also about the relevance of newspapers for this exam. Okay, there are other newspapers also which have credibility, but the issue is that when we talk about UPSC preparation, the depth, the analysis which is required, that is only provided by these two newspapers. So we will be only following these two newspapers. दोनों भी नहीं करने, कोई एक, whatever you feel like, because every person has evolved differently, every person has a different academic backgrounds. So how I perceive the information, how I read the sentence, it differs. So the way of writing the argument by The Hindu and the way of writing the argument by Indian Express are different. So this you have to see that which newspaper suits your vocabulary, how you are getting it. Otherwise, both the newspapers are important. Both the newspapers have their unique merits. Okay? Fine? Okay. So when we move forward, these are the important questions which in general we think of when it comes to current affairs preparation. The first and the foremost is how to prepare current affairs. Yes. क्या लगता है? All of you must have seen a lot of videos on YouTube how to prepare current affairs. CAT में किया था, CLAT में किया था. So you are also law graduate? Okay, we have a lot of law students now. Yeah. So कैसे करना चाहिए current affairs? And now we'll understand that what is the difference when in the approach when it comes to current affairs preparation in UPSC versus any other exam. Current affairs तो SSC में भी है, बैंक PO में भी है, CLAT में भी है, UPSC में भी है. Geography, history, polity, again in almost all the government examinations we are having it. But what is the difference in UPSC? So yes, anyone, offline, online, anyone. How to prepare current affairs? Through monthly magazines, right? Okay. According to syllabus, okay, you need to first understand that what has to be read. So who is going to tell you what has to be read? One, obviously UPSC syllabus will tell you what has to be read. Second, in class, teachers will tell you what has to be read, right? And third thing is, you will tell you what has to be read. But for you to decide that what has to be read and what has to be left, for that first you need to go through all the basic things. That is why we never say that start daily newspapers from day one or start reading current affairs from day one, right? Why? Problem is, let's say today if you open the newspaper and if there is a topic, for example, something related to the issues of governor in assent of the bill, something like this. So those who are not having any law background or background in political science, those people will not be able to understand that topic in newspaper. Newspaper reading will become relevant only and only once you have gone through at least the basics of the static subjects. Suppose in today's newspaper there is a question that the monsoon is coming and it is changing its pattern. So how will you understand it if you are not aware about what do you mean by monsoon? How does it arrive? Are you getting it? जब तक हमें existing phenomena नहीं पता है, तब तक हम changing phenomena की बात कैसे कर सकते हैं? So you can only analyze the changes when you know the existing thing. So that is why it becomes important that first you at least have some basics about geography, about history, about polity, these subjects. Only then newspaper will become relevant. Is this clear to all of you? Second problem in this is that you will be getting the basic knowledge of all these subjects in almost 5 to 6 months. So can you leave newspapers for 5 to 6 months? वो भी नहीं कर सकते हैं. So there has to be some middle way which we should be getting. उसके लिए क्या करते हैं? For example, we will be coming up with the daily current affairs video. We'll be discussing all these things in detail. Just a minute. Yeah. So we'll be discussing these things in detail, that how to approach daily current affairs video and what are its relevance when it comes to UPSC examination. But if we have to think about the sources what we need to follow, one will be the daily current affair videos which will be posted on our YouTube channel. वो करना है. And we'll see that how they are important and why they are unique too. Second thing is obviously the monthly magazines. So yes, these are also important. Monthly magazines करेंगे. The only thing is there is a difference between monthly magazines and the newspapers. तो अब वही question जो last class में पूछा था कि are newspapers important? Why? Because when you will be, is anyone in a habit of reading daily newspapers? Anyone online, offline? You are reading it. Which newspaper? Hindu. How much time do you take while reading it? 2 hours. What do you read in it? International news editorials. In this you are taking 2 hours, or other things also you read in newspapers. एक बार स्कैन करते हैं और उसमें टॉपिक सेलेक्ट करते हैं. Yes, anyone from online who is reading newspapers? Nandana, how much time do you take? 1.5 hours. Shivani, 1 to 1.5 hours. So for example, how many hours should be spent on newspaper reading? अब ये क्वेश्चन जो है ना, it is pointing towards idealism, which generally I do not believe in. You cannot have a one answer to this particular question. Similar question is कि एक दिन में कितना घंटे पढ़ना है कि यूपीएससी क्लियर हो जाए एक साल के अंदर. You do not have any particular answer to this question. In general, we say, as of now, you might be taking 1.5 or 2 hours. There are few students who take 3 hours in reading newspapers. उतना टाइम इसको प्रिंट करने में भी नहीं लगता होगा. But the thing is that in general, when we think about reading newspapers, so it is somewhat around 45 minutes to 1 hour. But again, this is just a range. There might be few days on which there is no news which is relevant for UPSC examination. वो न्यूज़पेपर हो सकता है 10 मिनट में खत्म हो जाएगा. You will be just scanning through the newspapers and you will be seeing the headlines and you will understand today this newspaper is not relevant. ऐसा कम होगा, but ऐसा हो सकता है. Similarly, there can be few days in which there will be a lot of topics in newspapers which should be read. So there are 2 pages of editorial and opinion sections. It can happen that all the articles on that particular day are important. It might happen that most of the news in the international page, most of the news in the national page might be important. So उस दिन हो सकता है 1.5 या 2 घंटा भी लग जाए, right? So that is why average is this particular timeline. Average is this. Again, when you will be starting to read newspapers, then it might happen that you will be exceeding this time limit, but eventually, gradually, obviously you will reduce this duration. वो हो जाएगा, ठीक है? और वो कैसे होगा? वो ऐसे ही होगा. When you will be having some basics about all the topics, then you will be reading it faster because you will be grasping it faster. ठीक है? Which newspaper to read? The Hindu or Indian Express? कोई और नहीं पढ़ना है. Only these 2 newspapers. You can select any one of them. ठीक है? In Indian Express, you have a very good section as explained. Those who are reading Indian Express, they must be knowing it. This explained section, basically when it comes with a topic, so it has all the historical background, all the basics, and then so all the dimensions are covered for this. Okay? In The Hindu, when we talk about, so The Hindu is very good when it comes to critical analysis part. Critical analysis. So when you have to critically analyze any government step or any government scheme, The Hindu is the best newspaper. Okay, they will be analyzing it very critically. When you read Indian Express, it is very good for the conceptual understanding. ठीक है, लेकिन दोनों नहीं पढ़ना है, एक ही पढ़ना है. You don't have to multiply your resources. ठीक, information overload, we do not want it at all. Next, how to know which articles are important. Again, who is going to tell you what sources are important? First and the foremost will always be the syllabus. But in syllabus also, we will see it today. In syllabus also, we see this particular thing, that there might be few topics which are not relevant for the exam. They might find their relevance in the syllabus headline, which is given by UPSC, but might not be very important for the exam. We'll see in next slides. And then they will be finding some topics obviously which are important for exam. Okay? How to take notes from the newspaper. अब इसकी बात करते हैं. How many of you believe that note making is important, especially for current affairs from newspapers? Those who are reading newspapers, are you people making some notes out of it? Or you are just reading the newspapers? Just reading the newspapers? Yes, online students? So how are you making notes in hard copy format or soft copy format? Hard copy format. Earlier you did soft copy. Yeah. So my understood. So my question to all of you is, let us assume this thing, that we are making hard copy notes and we are preparing for this examination at least for 1 year. वो तो पढ़ना ही है अपने को, ठीक है. So that means 365 days. हम ये मान लेते हैं कुछ दिन आप लोग मक्कारी भी करोगे, पढ़ाई नहीं करोगे. At least in 1 year you will be preparing for 300 days, 300 days newspapers. So let's say you prepared them and you made your hard copy notes. After 1 year, when prelims exam would be approaching, when you have to revise those things, so can you contemplate this thing that you will be just switching the pages of newspaper to find a topic, that where did you write? If let's say today you made a note for one topic and 10 days later or 2 months later, again that topic is repeated in some editorial article with entirely a new perspective, with entirely a new dimension. So then again you have to search for that topic which you have read in newspaper, and then you have to go back and then you will be editing it. Now just think that on one page, how much editing is possible if you are making hard copy notes. तो एक एरो यहाँ निकालोगे, एक पॉइंट यहाँ लिखोगे, फिर दूसरा एरो यहाँ निकालोगे, एक पॉइंट यहाँ लिखोगे, लेकिन उसमें पहले से ही बहुत सारे टॉपिक्स लिखे हुए होंगे. So what is the answer to this question? Answer to this question is that you do not have to make notes from newspapers. You just have to read newspapers. Notes के लिए we told you ना that there will be videos, will be providing PDF, will be providing monthly magazines. उसमें हम notes बना के दे रहे हैं. You yourself don't have to make notes from the newspapers. A point ये है कि if we are not making notes from the newspapers, if we are providing you the monthly magazines for the notes, is it really important that we spend every day 1 hour to read newspapers when already you will be facing the crunch of time, shortage of time? बहुत सारी चीज़ें वैसे भी पढ़नी है. So does it make any sense to read newspaper and devote every day at least 1 hour for it? What do you think? Just smile will not answer my question, offline and online both. So, it is a wastage of time. Okay. Yes, someone from online. Huh. Correct. Correct. So it might happen between the students who are already preparing the exam and who are just entering through this examination, that their answers will differ, क्योंकि ये लोग पहले समझ चुके हैं इन चीज़ों को. See, The point is, newspapers have a very broad outlook, so we should not be parochial while reading the newspapers. Newspapers are not just for content. So if I am framing a question in this tone, that why should we waste 1 hour, it does not mean that it is a wastage. तो टोन ऑफ क्वेश्चन के हिसाब से आंसर नहीं करना है, ठीक है. द थिंग इज न्यूज़पेपर्स आर इंपॉर्टेंट. व्हाई दीज न्यूज़पेपर्स आर इंपॉर्टेंट? What is the difference between the monthly magazine, the notes, and the newspapers? If we are only concerned for the content, let's say, and it will happen in this journey, when you will be reading newspapers and you will be seeing the PYQs or your practice tests which you will be getting from your institute, it will happen that you will feel कि newspaper में 1 घंटा पढ़ क्यों रहा हूँ जब इसमें से कोई क्वेश्चन आ नहीं रहा है डायरेक्टली, और जो क्वेश्चन आ रहा है वो मंथली मैगजीन में तो दिया हुआ है, तो फिर क्यों टाइम लगाना है? Newspapers are because not for content. First important thing is try to understand who are those people who are writing editorials and opinions in these newspapers. Who are those people? They are experts, they are very senior bureaucrats, they have an opinion, they have understood all these topics in far better manner compared to us. So when we talk about the personality, it is groomed by newspapers only, which is very important. So that when you go to the interview, an interview board asks you a question कि we are facing a lot of conflicts with Pakistan, तो हमें क्या करना चाहिए, तो you don't say कि तुरंत एक न्यूक्लियर मिसाइल उड़ाओ और दाग दो पाकिस्तान. This should not be your answer. What should be your answer? What should be the line of thought? This will be told to you by the bureaucrats, the ambassadors who are writing their experience in these newspapers. Second thing, how to frame your arguments. When we talk about the mains answer writing, it will be a challenge. Initially the challenge will be there will be a lot of questions, उनके आंसर आते नहीं होंगे अपने को, तो लिखें क्या ये समझ में नहीं आएगा. Then after few months the challenge will be कि बहुत कुछ आता है लिखने को, लेकिन 8 मिनट में कैसे लिखें ये समझ में नहीं आएगा. Okay, so there will be 2 phases. In phase 1, it will be a phase of information deficit, that what you have to write in the answer, you won't get it. In phase 2, there will be surplus of information in your head, and now how to write all that information in 8 minutes, in 7 minutes in an answer, wo challenge hoga. So for that challenge, you need to understand that how you have to frame your arguments. Has anyone read that book, Autobiography of Mahatma Gandhi? Anyone? Experiments with Truth. So in that book he writes that economization of words are always important. What do you mean by economization of words? Economy of words. That you say less and you spread more information. You write less and you convey more. अब ये पता कैसे लगेगा? Because when you will be writing less, obviously you will be conserving the words, time बचेगा. But the message would be conveyed. This will be told to you by newspapers, because the people who are writing their arguments in a manner, so you will learn that how those arguments have to be presented. Okay. Third thing, perspective or dimensions. Newspapers give you entirely a different perspective. For example, let's say earthquake आ गया, disaster है. For that matter, any disaster. So when we see this from the context of UPSC exam, what are the important dimensions in this particular topic? Let's say if we talk about earthquake only, what is earthquake? What are the causes of earthquake? What are the impacts of earthquake? What government has done for this to minimize the losses of lives and property? And what can be a way ahead, that what policies you suggest as a bureaucrat that should be taken, that should be adopted by the government in order to deal with this issue, or for that matter any disaster. These dimensions are important. Okay. And these dimensions will be replicated in other forms of disasters also. Fine. But it might happen that a question would be asked, and all these things will be there in the magazines also. But it might happen that in mains real examination, the question might be very narrowed and not this much broad. The question might be that what role Panchayati Raj institutions can play in managing the disasters. Now, this is just a one dimension of a disaster management. Are you getting it? एक सवाल ऐसा है जिसमें you are telling that this can be done, this can be done, this can be done, this can be done. उस आंसर में there will be just one point you will be writing that Panchayati Raj institution should do this. Then not any other point for PRIs, Panchayati Raj institutions or local bodies. Do we understand what are Panchayati Raj institutions? Panchayats, right? But in mains examination, it might happen that the question is coming with the role of PRIs in disaster management. Now that is a very narrow perspective. Those narrow perspectives are covered in newspapers. Similarly, why women are the most vulnerable when disaster strikes a particular area. You take any disasters and you tally, you just see the names of the people who have died in those disasters, and you will find in majority of the disasters the number of women are more. Why it happens? So there is a Sendai framework, international framework for disaster risk reduction. If you will read it, we'll read it when we'll be covering the disaster management topic. In that framework, the framework has given a specific mention the women and disasters. अब ये dimension, ये perspective जो है ये newspaper से मिलेगा, and this will add some value to your answer. If you are saying, let's say question general आ गया, that what strategies you suggest to manage a particular disaster, you will be writing all the things, ये कर लो, ये कर लो, ये कर लो. In all those steps, if you are coming up with one point specifically for women, don't you think that it will convert into marks, maybe half a mark, I don't know, but it will be having a better conversion possibility. And for that matter, this perspective can again tell you कि हमने सिर्फ women की बात ही क्यों करी? Why only women are most vulnerable? Think about it. Why women are most vulnerable? Can you tell me? Anyone in disasters? Why does it happen? They are dependent on men. So how that dependency is converting to their deaths during disasters? They could have run out of their home if the earthquake is striking. वहाँ पे तो no one will think that because if I am a female and I am dependent on my husband or some male member of my family, so I will not run. ऐसा तो नहीं होगा. I would be running too. Then why does it happen? They will run late. Why they will run late? Yes, this true. Now this is a very important finding in the Sendai framework, that it has been seen that in general women are the last to evacuate their houses. Why? Because the social conditioning is like this, that women will keep every member of the family before them. कि पहले आप चले जाओ बाहर, पहले आप चले जाओ बाहर. And women also have a tendency to conserve the material items in the homes also. कि ये बचा लें, ये बचा लें, ये बचा लें. So this is a very important finding in Sendai framework. Then physical strength also. In general, you go to rural areas, you will find many boys who know swimming. How many girls will you find who know swimming? Very less. Why? Because girls are not allowed to go outside. They are not allowed to go in schools. तो वो सीखेंगे कहाँ पे? वो skills आएगी कहाँ से? जो life surviving skills हैं, where will you get it from? ठीक है? But all these arguments are related to women. We need to understand it. It is not about women. It is about vulnerability. Women are more vulnerable because of so and so factor. Hence, they die in disaster. Now switch to the poor people. The people who are living in poverty. They will be more vulnerable compared to the people who are controlling the resources. उनकी भी डेथ ज़्यादा होंगी. So it's not about women, it's about vulnerability of disasters. अब ये सारे perspectives, all these perspectives will be told to you by newspapers, so you need to understand it. That is why newspaper is important, right? It will stimulate your intellectual capabilities. Next, CSAT. English comprehension and reading skills. We know a lot of students this year who are scoring more than 100 marks in GS, but not in CSAT. Yes, I do agree that in CSAT, maths is also there, reasoning is also there, but comprehension is also there. Okay. I have not heard from any student that, sir, I was weak in comprehension and hence I could not clear CSAT. I have always heard that, sir, I was weak in mathematics and hence I could not clear CSAT. ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है कि हर बच्चा सिर्फ मैथ्स में वीक हो रहा है और कॉम्प्रिहेंशन में वीक नहीं हो रहा है? नहीं नहीं, इसमें तो ये रीजन मुझे जो लगता है that people can easily say that because I am from the humanities background and hence my maths is weak and hence I was not able to clear it. But how can one accept that my English comprehension is not that good? It is difficult to accept it. So these are also the reasons. So my point is, again, if you are going for English comprehension in CSAT, you have to develop the reading skill, you have to develop your interpretation skill. How can you develop? It cannot be developed within a month, within a span of 2 months. उसके लिए you have to read newspapers on daily basis. ठीक है? So no matter what content are you consuming, monthly magazine भी पढ़ रहे हो, पढ़ो. Daily current affairs videos देख रहे हो, see it. But do not leave newspapers at any point of time. And when you will be going to interview, अब वो देखना कितना drastic change होता है. When, let's say, when you will be selected ना, let us assume a scenario, all of you are get selected and you are undergoing training in Labasna or NEDT or Vallabhai Patel Academy, any academy. So very important seminars which there take place. I just know one of those seminars. There a senior bureaucrat was telling all the selected candidates that when we have to compare a learning curve, when you people are aspirants, your learning curve is a J-type curve. So it is like this because you are consuming a lot of information. You are learning a lot of things. So hence your learning curve steeply rise. Your awareness about daily current affairs is very good. So it is just continuously rising. As soon as you get selected, your learning curve steepens. It just stabilizes. Why? Because after selection, now you know that newspaper reading or consuming all this content is not required. But for examination, it is required, hence you are reading it. My point is, develop your habit of reading the newspaper. Understand that newspapers are important, not just for exam, but for you people in your life. When you will be selected, you will be performing as bureaucrats. नहीं तो पता ही नहीं होगा देश दुनिया में चल क्या रहा है. ठीक है? So that is the relevance of newspapers. Either you are preparing for prelims, mains or interviews. In all these 3 stages, read newspapers. वो अलग बात है that immediately before 1 month, let's say before prelims, you might stop reading newspaper because a lot of things would have to be read and remembered. तो वहाँ पे ठीक है कर सकते हैं. But in general, do not skip newspapers. ठीक है? Are current affairs for prelims and mains different? What do we mean by this? Again, this is a very common misunderstanding among aspirants, and they are misguided also. The point is that why do we see prelims and mains differently? Example के तौर पे, let us take any general topic which you all might be aware of. What topic can we think of? Issues related to women again. ये सबको पता है. If we are talking about issues related to women, we all can come up with multiple issues and dimensions. What are the constitutional provisions which protect women? ये कैसे पता लगेगा? When you will be reading polity. We generally say that prelims is factual and mains is analytical. This is true. But how will you develop your analytical power if you are not aware about the facts? If you want to spread literacy in India, that is the analytical part, that how are you going to do it? But how will you do it if you are not aware about the literacy rates of men, women in India? And why we keep on talking only about women? Why not transgenders? They are also the vulnerable section when it comes to gender. So if you are not aware about the literacy rate, if you are not aware that if we, let's say, divide India into 4 parts like this is a northwest section, northeast section, east section, west section. If we divide India, so literacy rates vary hugely across the states. We all are aware that in the southern states, literacy rates are very good. When it comes to northern states, the literacy rates are not that good. And for that matter, any social indicator. Okay. So you need to know now that how these facts are varying. Only then you can tell me that, sir, these are the steps which we need to take. So analysis के लिए facts तो पता होना चाहिए. Hence, we always believe that prelims and mains are integrated. You have to prepare them in integrated manner. Yes, when you will again move into this preparation after few months, there are few topics which are not in prelims, they are only in mains. There are few topics which have to be read differently for prelims, but that is very narrow. Most of the part is overlapping when it comes to prelims and mains, and you have to prepare it in integrated manner. Okay? Next, what else to study apart from newspaper? That we have already discussed. Monthly magazines, daily current affairs videos, and a lot of things will come. देखो एक चीज़ समझ के चलो, content deficit कभी नहीं होने वाला इस preparation में. Nowadays, you people will be having the issue of content surplus. ये याद रखना है throughout your preparation. हाँ, अब स्मार्ट वर्क, बिकॉज अब ये भी एक बहुत ही कॉमन वर्ड है, टर्मिनोलॉजी, दैट वी हैव टू गो फॉर स्मार्ट वर्क्स एंड नॉट हार्ड वर्क. The only thing is that I do not know how to define smart work and how to make a difference between a smart work and a hard work. I do not know its definition. So those who know the definition of smart work, I just want to say that do not understand this smart work in the narrow dimensions of shortcuts. वो स्मार्ट वर्क शॉर्टकट ना हो जाए बस. दिस इज द ओनली थिंग. दैट इज व्हाई आई ऑलवेज प्रेफर हार्ड वर्क. वो स्मार्ट वर्क मतलब इट्स जस्ट अ कैची टर्म. ठीक है. 3 stages: prelims, mains and interview. What is the difference between these 3 stages and how current affairs? Yes, please. True. Yes. Yes. Only for that perspective which was unique. Only that has to be written somewhere, not the entire notes. Because if you are writing entire notes, then your energy is deviated, right? Because those notes will come in the form of content to all of you. The only thing is that if there is some unique perspective, you can write it down. उससे वो register नहीं भर जाएगा. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि हर आर्टिकल में 10 नए पर्सपेक्टिव निकल के आ रहे हैं. एंड इफ यू आर गेटिंग 10 न्यू पर्सपेक्टिव्स इन एवरी आर्टिकल, दैट मीन्स दैट यू आर नॉट वेल वर्स्ड विद योर स्टैटिक सब्जेक्ट. Most of the dimensions, most of the perspectives obviously will be covered in the static subjects, will be covered in these classes. अगर ये अच्छे से कर रहे हो, इसके beyond there will be just 1 or 2 perspectives which will be important. There might be just 1 or 2 example or case study which will be important. It might happen that tomorrow in the Hindu or Indian Express they quote some example of some bureaucrat who has taken a very good initiative in some part of India and the results are very encouraging. So they can write that example. तो वो example लिखना है सिर्फ अपने notes में. Newspapers will just add value to all the existing notes which you are having. ठीक है. For example, the waterman of Asia. So anyone knows who is it? Who is waterman of Asia? Anyone? Okay. So इसको हम ऐसे समझते हैं that there is a person in India who is known as waterman of Asia. You will be googling its name. Just Google it. You will come to know. And he has done a tremendous work when it comes to revival of the paleo channels, bringing the water resources to the dry areas of India. So when you will be knowing these examples, you can know these examples from newspaper. तो सिर्फ ये example लिखना है बस. ठीक है. Coming to this part, prelims, mains and interview. What is the basic difference between prelims, mains and interview? Prelims is the game, is the level of information. There will be a lot of information. So for prelims, you would be going horizontal. You will be covering a lot of information. Mains, on the other hand, is analytical. That means mains is more about depth. So in prelims, when you have covered a lot of horizontal or width of information, in mains you have to dive deeper into it to have analysis for those issues. Information plus analysis will play its role in interview. अब यहाँ पे, as we have discussed, again newspapers will be important. Between mains, if you get selected, between mains and interview, you people will be reading 3 to 4 newspapers in one day. क्यों? क्योंकि पता है कि वहाँ पे जो बोर्ड बैठा होगा, the board is not going to restrict itself only to Hindu or Indian Express. They might be asking questions from Financial Express, from Business Times, etc. You cannot say that, sir, our teacher told us that we have to restrict ourselves for reading the Hindu, right? तो वो पढ़ते हैं, सब पढ़ते हैं, so that ऐसा ना हो कि वहाँ पे you have to say sorry sir I don't know. ठीक है? There is no harm in saying it, but only when you are not aware about a topic. लेकिन ऐसा तो नहीं है कि हम हर क्वेश्चन में sorry sir I don't know, sorry sir I don't know बोलेंगे, ऐसा तो नहीं होगा. So obviously you have to prepare the best that you can, that you are able to give every answer in the interview board. But if some question comes you don't know, then obviously you can say it. ठीक है, बट उसके लिए प्रिपेयर नहीं करना है. इज इट क्लियर? Yes. Foundation course. Again, as we have discussed, for reading the current affairs, for understanding the newspapers, all of that will be dependent on your foundation course. Once you have done a respectable portion of your GS foundation course, only then you will make some sense out of newspapers. इसके साथ पढ़ना है. Then how to start reading newspapers? अब ये main सवाल है. Suppose we are starting our classes, now we have entered into this preparation. Let's say we start with geography. 10 days into geography, then start looking at newspapers and just try to find those topics which are coming from geography. Just try to read them. Enter into polity, 10 days into polity. Start again. Then now geography you can read, polity also now you can read. So you have to move gradually. ठीक है? The only thing is that अब ऐसा भी नहीं होना चाहिए that for next 2 months you are not reading newspapers. So for that what we need to do, as we have told you, we will be coming up with a daily current affairs video. Daily current affairs video, what is unique in these videos, it is not only focused on the current news. It is not a news analysis. It is basically the conceptual analysis with the help of news. So if you are not aware about the constitutional protections which are being given to women as of now, and let's say tomorrow an article comes in newspaper which is focusing on the literacy rate of women, when it comes to daily current affairs video, first we will be clearing your basics. First we will be telling you that these are the constitutional provisions, these are the issues which women face, these are the issues which are there, which comes to hinder to the literacy, for the literacy of women, and then these are the suggestions. So daily current affairs videos will make your base ready, and that is how you will be starting your newspaper. After some time you yourself will feel that now अब daily current affair videos का कोई इतना रोल नहीं बचा है, and you are self sufficient, you are self capable to read and make sense out of newspapers. ठीक? So this is a prelims syllabus. Let us try to decode it. It says current events of national and international importance. This is the first line of UPSC prelims syllabus. अब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इसके बाद कुछ लिखने की जरूरत बची नहीं है. If they are writing the first statement, current events of national and international importance, तो फिर तो सब कुछ हो गया. If a event is described, it has come in newspaper. Why has it come in newspaper? Because it was important, तभी तो आया है ना. So again the basic question, does it mean that every topic is important? No. Current events of national and international importance which is relevant for this exam, सिर्फ वो पढ़ना है. How you have to decode this line, that is told by UPSC in the subsequent statements. For example, history of India and Indian national movement. Now you will see that even the topics as static as history also come in newspapers. Why? Because there might be some opinion on it. For example, uh, which is the first, which is what is known as the first revolution of India's freedom struggle? Which movement was is described as the first movement for the fight? 1857 revolt, right? Rani Jhansi and all those people. In newspapers, let's say when 50 years are completed, or 75 years are completed, or 100 years are completed, then there will be a lot of articles on this aspect which will give you a perspective. Okay? Are you getting it? We are now in 2025. 100 years back, what was the time? 1925. Was there any important event in 1925? Anyone who has read history? In India's history or the world history? Come again? अरे इतना छोटे events नहीं that Gandhiji was sent to prison. Gandhiji used to go into the prison and come out of the prison since 1918, 1919 till the freedom struggle, till we got the freedom. Some anything related to economic depression? If you have read about it, then fine. If you have not read about it, forget it. My only point being that because 100 years are there, so there in newspapers there might be analysis on that thing which has occurred 100 years back. So history के ऊपर भी analysis you can get in newspapers. This is the point. Next, India and world geography, physical, social, economic geography of India and the world. So obviously you will be getting a lot of topics. For example, those who are reading newspapers or those who are just listening to a lot of YouTube videos also, because now there are few channels on YouTube which are doing a better job than TV media news. We know this. So if you are watching them, if you are listening to them, it might happen that, have you heard about something related to lithium? That now a lot of countries are going to get lithium because it is a very important resource, because lithium is going to be used in electric vehicle, batteries, etc. It is a critical mineral. So for example, if a news is coming on lithium, lithium reserves, etc., so can we say that it will be a part of economic geography? Because here we are talking about resource. How you will be getting the basics of lithium? Obviously in the classes. You will understand that what is lithium, which are the areas where you can get lithium. Is lithium present in India? What is the importance of lithium? Why India wants lithium so badly? What is the issue? What are the ABC countries of lithium? The countries which are having the highest share of lithium. ABC, which are these countries, anyone? या अर्जेंटीना, बोलीविया एंड चिली इन साउथ अमेरिकन कंट्रीज. अब ये सारी चीज़ें समझ कैसे आएंगी? ज्योग्राफी से. When you will be doing world maps, you will be seeing South American continent, you will be looking at that here we have Argentina, here we have Bolivia, here we have Chile. उससे एक pictographic memory develop होगा. Then when you will be reading it in classes, when you will be reading it in current affair videos, when you will be reading it in newspapers, all these things will be repeated and it will get imprinted in your mind. ठीक है? Next, Indian polity and governance, constitution, political system, panchayati raj, public policies and issues related to it. So again here you need to understand all the basics of Indian constitution. So in newspapers when you see कि बोलने की आज़ादी तो सबको है, बोलने की स्वतंत्रता, that is freedom of speech, which is article 19. Yeah. So in that particular sense, when you will be reading about all these things in classes, in newspapers, obviously this becomes important when it comes to current events of national importance. If tomorrow some political leader gives a hate speech against any community, against any section of India, that hate speech will be covered in newspaper analysis. That hate speech will be covered in that analysis within the context of the constitutional provisions. अब कल को अगर मैं किसी को गाली दे दूं और मैं ये बोलूं that under article 19 my freedom of speech is protected and hence I can abuse anyone. So is it protected? No. That means it is not an absolute freedom that you can speak anything you want. So there will be some restrictions also कि आप क्या नहीं बोल सकते हो. Yeah. So for example, you cannot speak anything which can cause the harmful impact on India's integrity and sovereignty. कल को अगर मैं बोलूं कि मैं इस ORN को एक अलग एरिया घोषित कर दूंगा, इट विल बी एन इंडिपेंडेंट कंट्री एंड आई एम गोइंग फॉर इट्स टू प्रोटेस्ट इट, आई कैन नॉट स्पीक इट. व्हाई? बिकॉज इट इज harming India's integrity. So there are some restrictions. Again, those are written in Constitution. So when you will be reading those restrictions, only then you can analyze that whether whatever the person has spoken, is it right or not. ठीक है? Economic and social development, sustainable development, poverty, inclusion, demographics, and social sector initiatives. Sustainable development, one of the favorite areas for UPSC. For example, we all know for the development you need roads, no doubt in this. But to construct the roads, you need to cut down the trees. Have you seen a photo which is going viral on Instagram in last 2 to 3 days from Bihar? A road is constructed and on that road there are 4 to 5 trees which have not been cut down. Have you seen that photo? Yeah. So the thing is, that is not a green corridor actually. Okay, we need to understand it. If you are making a road to protect the trees, if you are, let's say if you are not cutting down trees, this is a road and there is some tree like here, and you are not cutting down these trees in order to protect the environment. बाकी सारे छोड़ो कि what are the accidents which can be caused over here during nights, are there street lights or not, just forget about it, just talk only about environment. Roads, that means you have concretized this particular area. This stem of tree has been concretized on the periphery. Do you think that its roots will be able to grow now? तो आज आप नहीं काट रहे हो पेड़, 2 साल के बाद वो पेड़ अपने आप खत्म हो जाएगा. एक्सीडेंट, वो ट्रक तो तोड़ ही देगा, वो तो एक अलग बात हो गई. True. Yes, so I am saying that forget about accidental things. I am saying the basic objective that to protect the environment you didn't cut the trees. But my basic question is, will these trees sustain after 2 years? So your basic idea is defeated, na? That is why when it comes to tree planting, it is done along the roads where there is no movement of vehicle, where you can give some kacha spaces where the roots can grow. Right? In Delhi, those who are living, when you go to the central Delhi, the VVIP areas, you see that there are a lot of trees which are grown along the banks of the road. Road के बीच में थोड़ा लगा देंगे. ठीक है? But again, sustainable development, what is important? We require roads. Yes, we require trees also. So are these things opposite to each other, or we can find some middle way that we get the roads also and we can minimize the cutting of trees also? This is sustainable development. You must have read it about in school. Equity, futurity, and sustainability, the 3 pillars of sustainable development. That you conserve resources today, but you have to take care of the future generation. So ये सारी चीजें you have to read. Again, when the things are coming from these topics, you have to read it from the newspapers. Next, general issues on environmental ecology, biodiversity, and climate change. Now here again see the things which Rahul Sir was discussing in last class, that you don't have to become a subject expert. He said this, UPSC भी यही बोलता है, that do not require subject specialization. So UPSC is also telling you कि ecology पढ़ते पढ़ते एकदम उसमें चले नहीं जाना है. Environment पढ़ते पढ़ते you don't have to go beyond a boundary. You should not be a subject specialist. This again UPSC has clarified when it comes to mains syllabus. This is a prelim syllabus, अभी mains में भी देखेंगे हम. ठीक है? And then general science. हाँ, पता कैसे चलेगा कि वो बाउंड्री कहाँ है? वो चलेंगे पता 2 बेसिस पे, आपके अपने एक्सपीरियंस पे और हमारे एक्सपीरियंस. When you will be reading it, when we will be discussing it, so you will again gradually evolve that, okay, this is the rough boundary, and those boundaries will always be blurred. It might happen that for me there might be some topic which is important, for you there might be some topic, that same topic which is not important, which you will not consider important. तो वो ऐसे अपने को एक फिक्स बाउंड्री नहीं मिलेगी, दोज बाउंड्रीज विल ऑलवेज बी ब्लर्ड एंड वी हैव टू प्ले विद इन दैट जोन ओनली. ठीक है. So we were discussing this history. For example, this is a some screenshots, and we are discussing these current affairs and newspapers and analyzing the trends of questions. We will be seeing some PYQs also. We will be analyzing the trends of those questions in last 5 years. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि इस साल का बताऊंगा मैं. So there will be some trend. For that you need a longer duration. हम 5 साल की बात करेंगे. For last 5 to 6 years, the trend has been same. Mapilla uprising, road to freedom. If you do not know anything about these things, no problem. And does anyone know about Mapilla uprising? Anyone from history? So in 1920s, there was a revolt in southern India during the freedom struggle, and there was a conflict between the zamindars and the peasants, which eventually converted into the communal riots between Hindus and Muslims in India. That is a Mapilla uprising. 1920 की बात है, but it has come in the newspaper, right? Why? Because the writer wanted that. He wanted to portray some perspective. He wanted to come out with some perspective. So that is the importance that in newspapers you will be getting history topics also. Next topic from geography. It says the science behind twin cyclones. The topic is on this. How will you understand twin cyclones when you do not know what are cyclones? What is the difference between tropical cyclone and temperate cyclone? When you will be knowing the basics of all these things, only then you will make some sense out of this. Again, the importance of these classes. Foundation पढ़ना पड़ेगा, GS पढ़ना पड़ेगा, तभी न्यूज़पेपर समझ में आना शुरू होगा. Bill assent and a delay and the governor's options. So when you will be reading this topic in newspaper, कैसे समझ में आएगा that which are the articles, what is written for governor, that can, what power does he have, is there some discretionary power with the governor, yes or no. जब ये सब चीजें पढ़ेंगे तब तो इस आर्टिकल का मतलब समझ आएगा ना. Okay, so am I making some sense? ठीक है, आगे चलते हैं. तो फिर how will you make sense, right? Exactly. So let us map prelims. अब I am telling you that newspapers are important. तो ये तो I think that आपके पेरेंट्स ने भी कभी ना कभी तो लाइफ में बोला ही होगा कि बेटा अखबार पढ़ा करो, बहुत ज़रूरी होता है, पढ़ते क्यों नहीं हो. कभी ना कभी सुना होगा, मे बी फ्रॉम पेरेंट्स और रिलेटिव और समवन. ठीक है, तो इसका मतलब हम ये तो समझ रहे हैं कि अखबार पढ़ना इम्पॉर्टेंट है. It might happen that our parents have not prepared for civil services. They have no background of civil services. They must have heard about it from someone. But ये common understanding है ना कि newspapers important है. अब इसका अगला question ये होना चाहिए, why are you saying that newspapers are important? If I am telling you that newspapers are important, why are you believing me? बस इसलिए कि मैं टीचर हूँ. तो टीचर्स तो बहुत कुछ बोल सकते हैं. आर्टिकल 19, freedom of speech and expression. So there has to be a question which should hit your mind, and you should ask me why these newspapers are important. Can you prove it? तो अब उस पर बात करते हैं. That are we getting questions from directly from newspapers in our paper, prelims or mains? उस पर बात करते हैं. First of all, what is the importance of current affairs question in prelims examination? Roughly it is just 25%. Sometimes it goes down to 15 and 20%. This year 2025 prelims, is anyone aware how many questions came from current affairs specifically out of 100 questions? How many? Anyone? There were 18 questions, 15 to 18 questions. Yeah, 15 to 18 questions. So the percentage is 15 to 18%. और हम गलती ये करते हैं कि हम पूरा का पूरा प्रिपरेशन अपने करंट अफेयर्स पे लाके टिका देते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि करंट अफेयर्स है इतना वास्ट. सो इफ आई टेल यू दैट इफ यू आर जस्ट रीडिंग एनसीईआरटी ज्योग्राफी एंड ज्योग्राफी विल बी टेकन केयर ऑफ, इसके अलावा कुछ नहीं करना है, तो देन हाउ विल आई सेल माई सेल्फ टू यू? मैं अपने आप को बेचूंगा कैसे? हाउ विल आई टेल यू कि नहीं नहीं ज्योग्राफी में ये भी करना है? तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल लेट्स से इफ आई टेल यू कि देयर आर 5 बुक्स विच नीड टू बी रेड फॉर ज्योग्राफी टू क्लियर दिस एग्जाम, नाउ आई विल इंस्टिल अ फियर इन योर माइंड, देन यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कि यार 5 किताबें अपने आप पढ़ेंगे कैसे पढ़ेंगे, एंड हेंस वी रिक्वायर अ टीचर, हेंस यू विल कम एंड यू विल पे द फी. एंड इफ आई टेल यू कि 5 किताब नहीं पढ़नी है, सिर्फ एनसीईआरटी पढ़ना है. देयर वाज वन स्टूडेंट, so he was in his third or fourth attempt, I get. Just few days back, he called me and we were discussing about geography. So he was not our students, from some other institute. So he got my number from some of his friend. So he said कि सर geography में 3 मेंस लिख चुका हूँ लेकिन कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, आंसर्स पे मेरे मार्क्स नहीं मिल रहे हैं. आई एम गोइंग टू द कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट, दे आर इवेल्युएटिंग एंड दे आर जस्ट गिविंग मी जस्ट 2 or 3 मार्क्स आउट ऑफ 10. मैं कौन सी बुक पढ़ूँ? मैंने बोला अभी क्या पढ़ रहे हो? बोला सर मैं ये पढ़ चुका हूँ, ये पढ़ चुका हूँ, ये पढ़ चुका हूँ. मैंने बोला और एनसीईआरटी? बोला सर वो नहीं पढ़ी है. तो मैंने बोला कि why have you not read NCERT? He said sir NCERT में से questions ही नहीं आते हैं geography के. I asked him so let's take 1 day break. Tomorrow evening call me again. Go through 10 years of paper prelims or mains and try to find out just one question in geography which you think has come outside the scope of NCERT and from within some other textbook. दोनों चीजें होनी चाहिए ना. यस यू कैन गेट क्वेश्चंस विच आर आउटसाइड एनसीईआरटी ज्योग्राफी, बट देन दोस क्वेश्चंस आर आल्सो नॉट देयर इन अदर स्टैंडर्ड टेक्स्ट बुक्स. तो फिर फायदा क्या हुआ दूसरी किताब पढ़ने का? क्वेश्चन तो तब भी सॉल्व नहीं हुआ. एंड देन यू सेड सर सिर्फ एनसीईआरटी से ज्योग्राफी हो जाएगा? मैं बोला हाँ हो जाएगा. तो बोला सर फिर तो यूपीएससी और क्लास 11th और 12th के बच्चे में क्या डिफरेंस होगा? तो अब ये हमें उस डिस्कशन पे ले जाता है. It is not about the content which you are reading makes you an intellectual person. It is all about that how you are taking that content. वो कल वाला एग्जाम्पल एसपी डीएसपी एसएचओ वाला, इंफॉर्मेशन तो सेम ही रहने वाला है भाई. धरती गोल है, 6 की एनसीईआरटी में भी वही मिलेगा, 7th में भी वही मिलेगा, 11th में भी वही मिलेगा. ठीक, अब कोई ये मत बोलना कि धरती गोल नहीं सर स्फेरिकल है. फिर कोई बोलेगा सर स्फेरिकल भी प्रॉपरली नहीं है, जियोइड है. वो ठीक है लेकिन जो है वही रहेगा ना. इफ देयर आर 8 प्लैनेट्स, 8 प्लैनेट्स ही रहेंगे. इफ सम प्लैनेट इज हैविंग अ रिंग अराउंड इट, वो सेम रहेगा. इफ हिमालयज आर मेड आउट ऑफ कन्वर्जेंट बाउंड्री, वो सेम रहेगा. दैट्स माय पॉइंट. वो सेम ही रहेगा और उतना ही पढ़ना है. ठीक है. तो करंट अफेयर्स का रेलिवेंस इज जस्ट अराउंड 15 to 25% डिपेंडिंग ऑन द ईयर्स. See this question asked in 23 prelims. Consider the following countries. This is a PYQ 2023. There are names of countries: Bulgaria, Czech Republic, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania. पहले तो ये बताओ इसमें से कितने देशों का नाम नहीं सुने हैं? How many of these countries are you aware of? All? Very good. Are you aware about Lesotho? Okay. So there are many countries. ठीक है, ये इस पे बात करते हैं. So there are these countries. Question asks you, how many of the above mentioned countries share a land border with Ukraine? Question from world map. क्या इसके लिए there are around 195 countries. So should we now go in a manner that for every country we have to prepare all the bordering countries? There will be n number of permutation and combination. पहले इंडिया की बॉर्डरिंग कंट्रीज करो, फिर इंडिया की बॉर्डरिंग कंट्रीज की बॉर्डरिंग कंट्रीज करो, फिर उनकी करो, तो नहीं कर पाओगे ना. Now why this question was asked? Because in that specific year Russia-Ukraine war started in 2023. Hence it is coming in newspaper. Hence now we understand that yes, it is a part of international relations. सिलेबस में है एंड इट इज इन न्यूज़पेपर. इसके लिए ये ऑटोमेटिकली इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल नाउ वी आर, यस जतिन, ओके. So for example, now we are having a conflict between Israel and Iran. For that matter, West Asia is always an important region. So you enter into any season, any year, West Asia is always in conflict. Well, that's a different thing. And hence, West Asia is always an important region when it comes to mapping. वो हमेशा रहेगा. But the point is again this one. In newspapers in 2023, newspapers extensively covered Russia Ukraine war. अब तो वो भी बोर हो गए हैं, अभी तक चला ही जा रहा है. तो या हाँ, इजराइल अब नया आ गया है, तो इससे बोर हो गए हैं वो. दैट वॉर इज स्टिल नॉट ओवर ना, दैट इज स्टिल ऑन गोइंग. In that particular year when it started, there were extensive articles. So here we are having some screenshots which came in newspapers itself, which are telling you about the bordering countries of Ukraine. So when you are reading newspapers, if you are reading, let's say, just magazine, we will be covering this topic just once. क्योंकि अगर हम हर महीने हर रिपीटेड टॉपिक कवर करेंगे तो फिर तो इतना मोटा मैगजीन बन जाएगा. करेक्ट? So we will be covering it once. But when you are reading newspaper every day, it will happen that in 1 month or 2 months, this same map will be printed in newspapers and you will be seeing it n number of times. Hence a repeated revision for this. Is it clear? This is the importance of newspapers, that it helps you in repeated revision. Another topic. This topic came in newspaper, see, in 2021. Yeah, GI tags is important, but here we are not talking about GI tag. Is anyone aware about that? What do we mean by GI tag? Geographical indication. What is meant by this? Yeah, so there are specific goods that might be natural or artificial, but they have some unique property and they are found only in that. For example, Darjeeling tea. So Darjeeling tea cannot be grown in any other area of India. It can be sold illegally, that's a different thing, but it cannot be grown because the unique climatic factors, soil factors, which are finally leading to the growth of that particular variety of tea, it is unique. Hence, for that, for those products, the government of India gives GI tag to them, that is geographical indication. You cannot sell any other tea in the name of Darjeeling tea. It is a crime. You are not allowed to do that. You cannot sell Banarsi silk साड़ी. कोई भी silk ले आओ साड़ी बना के बनारसी बोल के नहीं बेच सकते. So there are a lot of products. So coming to this was important. So let's try reading few things. Read this. This is a copy pasted material from newspaper itself. इसको पढ़ते हैं and then we'll see, are we able to solve the question or not, which came in prelims. पढ़ो इसको. Take your time. This will tell you that how to read newspaper. Read? Understood? Can you solve the question which was asked in 2022 on the basis of this information? Yes. Online, offline. Confidently बताओ. C, D, okay. C, okay. Yours is also C. Fine. Let us go back to this thing and we'll try to read it. How to read. It says the Kashmir Gucci. When you are reading it in newspaper, how to read newspaper, for that matter, any book or anything, we are just trying to develop a reading skill. This word is telling you that this particular variety of mushroom is grown in Kashmir, hence important information. They are wild mushrooms hence important information that they are not cultivated in home. Wild variety है ये. Are delicious, not important for exam. खाने के लिए ठीक है, not for the exam. Said a local farmer. It possesses antioxidant properties. That means it is having a medicinal benefits also. So hence important. It's proven that it helps in preventing diseases like hypertension, hyperglycemia, cancer, etc. So these are the outcomes. So important information. Next, Gucci, its name, is considered as an exotic species of the mushroom family. That means it is a mushroom family. It grows in forests located above 2000 meters from sea level. Important information, not this exact numerical figure. What is important? That it is not found in the low areas. Mountains पे होंगे और height पे होंगे. 2000 मीटर, 3000 मीटर, these facts are not very important. सिर्फ understanding develop करना है. Fine. Then those who collect the Guccis trek hundreds of miles through forests to identify them. Only locals could identify the Gucci in a forest, said a farmer. The mushrooms sell, very important, not for exam but for business prospects. 1 किलो इतने का बिकता है. It will impact our income this year, said another farmer. Kashmir produces more than 5 lakh worth of Guccis annually. These are the important informations which we have extracted out of from this text. Okay. Was there anything related to whether it is a fungus or not? कुछ नहीं लिखा था उसमें. So we do not know about this statement. Leave this statement. Read second. It grows in some Himalayas from forest areas. Is this true? In Kashmir we have Himalayas and it was written forest areas. So ठीक है, this is fine. It is commercially cultivated in the Himalayan foothills of the northeastern India. Again, this is incorrect. Two reasons. It was not in northeastern India, it was in Kashmir. Yes, it is not a commercially cultivated variety, right? So this is also false. We don't know, na? How do we know? It was not written in that text. Huh? Was it written in that text? We are not applying any outside information to solve this question. We just want to solve this question on the basis of the texts which we have read. Third statement is पक्का third वाला तो गलत है. Eliminate this third one. Either answer should be A or C. In both of these, A is correct. So even if you don't know whether it is a fungus or not, उसे सोचना ही नहीं है because there is no option. Forget about it. We know that second one is correct. So this has to be the only answer. From this question, I want to tell you that this is a problem solving skill. All the questions are not solved only by the information which you have. I didn't know whether it is a fungus or not till the question is solved, because statements and these options were framed in that manner. Is it fine, everyone? Okay. Yes, so fungus was not written, na? So isko bhul jao abhi. But still you can take the answer on the basis of these two statements. ये करना है, ठीक है, everyone? Okay. Another topic, WTO's challenge, and as I said that this trend is not just in last 5 years, it is a continuous trend. This we have taken it from 2016, way back 10 years. ऐसे ही चलता है अभी, ऐसे ही चलेगा ये आगे भी. This is a topic. WTO's challenge to MSP is another frontier to cross. What is MSP? ये तो full form है, minimum support price. Right. Yeah. Correct. So basically, in order to protect the farmers and to ensure a minimum guarantee of money, government puts a basic price that no one can purchase it below that price to protect the farmers. That is a minimum support price for the farmers. अब ये है, okay. Read it. Again, this is a text again taken from the newspaper itself. So just read it. So it says that one of the central objectives of the AOA, what is AOA? कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, ये सारी क्लास में होगा. Here we are not discussing the topics, we are just discussing newspapers. What is its importance? Is to cut the trade distorting domestic support that WTO member countries provide to agriculture. In this regard, the domestic subsidies are divided into three categories: the green box subsidies, the blue box subsidies, and the amber box subsidies. What are these subsidies? Again, that will be told to you in classes. But from this text, we are getting this thing. कि ऐसा कुछ तो है. Now see the question which was asked in paper. In the context, and again the same year 2016, exactly आएगा. And from this we also understand that sometimes very easy questions are also asked in prelims. Out of 100 questions there will be 5-7 questions which are very easy. ऐसे ही आएगा. ठीक है. Next, 2019, decoding Europe's new data protection law. So in that year, data protection law came in European Union. Read it. Read. Data protection nowadays becoming very important. A lot of multinationals, companies are dependent on this data only. Their entire revenue, their entire business operations are dependent on this data only. That is why it is said that data is the new oil for this world. And today we are living in a technological era where we understand that data can be breached, can be misused. When we buy a new phone and we give all the permissions without reading those permissions, yes. And then someday we have a Eureka moment that I was discussing a particular motorcycle with my friend who was physically present in front of me, not on phone call. And then in evening I see the ad of that bike on my Instagram. How does it happen? I allowed it when I was opening my new phone. Right? So that is why data are very important. Read it. See the question. This is the 2019 one. 2019 prelims question. आसान है. True. Now if we read this question, let's say this question also becomes important because all the options are from the developed world. Let's say I change the options. Now my options are Afghanistan, Pakistan, European Union, Iran. Let's say I have not read anything about data protection in that year. Ho sakta hai. And the question came. Now here, can I apply some of my common sense for a calculated guess? I do not know the answer, but can I take some risk? Yes, I can take some risk on the basis of which of these countries will be going for protecting the data. बाकी देश पहले इंसान बचा लें अपने, उसके बाद डेटा बचाएंगे. Are you getting it? Right. So from Pakistan, we cannot expect that they will come with data protection law. From Afghanistan, from Iran, they have several other issues. I am not saying that they cannot come up. अब कल को वो ला देंगे वो अलग बात है. But if you have to take a calculated risk, that is how you can take some calculated risk in the real examination. Clear? This was prelims. Let's talk about mains. This is the instruction which is given by UPSC in the notification for mains examination. Just take out 30 seconds and read this instructions carefully. And please, a humble request कि जो चीजें हम कर रहे हैं ना इस क्लास में वो याद रखना है throughout your preparation. That is why we have started this 6 days long induction program, because we know that this will be the pillar for your preparation. So keep these things in your mind. Read it. It says, let me read it along with you. The main examination is intended to assess the overall intellectual traits and depth. Remember, prelims was width, mains is depth, and depth of understanding of candidates rather than merely the range that is width, merely the range of their information and memory. So UPSC is telling you this thing कि भाई हमें range of information से कुछ नहीं करना है. We just want depth. Have you understood those things? Do you really understand that what are the issues? What is the regional divide in India? Do you really understand that what are the issues related to financial devolution? What are the issues related between center and states? What are the conflicts? Okay? The nature and the standard of the questions in general studies paper will be such that well-educated person will be able to answer them without any specialized study. Again repeated as we were discussing. Prelims में भी बोला है, mains में भी बोला है. No specialized study is required. You don't have to do PhD in these subjects. A well-educated person, अब वो well-educated person is a subjective thing. वो एक अलग बात है. Whom do you consider a well-educated person? ठीक है. The questions will be such as to test a candidate's general awareness of a variety of subjects which will have relevance for a career in civil services. Last paragraph it says, the questions are likely to test the candidate's basic understanding of all the relevant issues. So mains preparation is dependent on identifying these issues. What are the issues in India? For example, last class Rahul Sir was discussing that what are the important threats in India? International or domestic, internal threats. Those are issues. Terrorism is issue. Naxalism is issue. Separatist movement is issue. Women related issues. Education related issues. Health related issues. Primary health centers nahi hai hamare paas, secondary health centers nahi hai. All the burden is now with the tertiary health centers. AIMS, PGIs, etc. That is the reason that why private players are now coming and doctors are being given targets. Right? So it happens. Why is it happening? Because in these years, we have not been very successful in establishing and strengthening the primary health centers like dispensaries in the area. So ये issues identify करने हैं. Is this fine? And ability to analyze and take a view on conflicting socio-economic goals. Can you give me some example of conflicting socio-economic goal? Conflict होना चाहिए. The one we have discussed few minutes back. Road infrastructure versus trees. So there is a conflict, right? We need roads, we need trees also. Hence there is a conflict. So अब आपका decision क्या होने वाला है? How are you going to balance this thing? That is the same thing. For example, you are posted as a district magistrate of an area. सरकार ने बोला that you draw a policy. We have to build a highway in your area. So highway has to be built for the development. That is true. But as a district magistrate, then land has to be acquired. So you will be going for land acquisition also from farmers. For that, you need to pay compensation also to the farmers. So that means district magistrate now is having a lot of responsibilities. Pehla, government has said that we have to build roads and DM agrees that yes, it is required for a development. Second, land acquisition will be there. There might be farmer protest. Third, you need to identify some areas from where the minimum amount of land acquisition takes place so that the compensation amount is reduced. Because otherwise there will be burden on the state exchequer. True. Fourth, there will be change in land use. Agricultural fields will be converted into road. So agricultural fields will be lost. Agriculture will face losses. Soil will be lost. So there will be issues with ecology. These are the conflicting goals. Now DM is expected to take some decision or give an opinion. This will be your role, and therefore you are required to study about all these issues in general in this examination. When you will enter into services, their specialized study will, specialized training will be given to you that what are the laws, what is the land acquisition law, what is its trades, how land acquisition has to be done, what should be the compensation amount, right? How that registry has to be done from the farmers to the government, all those things. वो वहाँ पे, यहाँ पे only thing which is expected out of you people is you understand these conflicting issues which India is having. ऐसे conflicting issue developed world में नहीं होने वाले हैं. These conflicting issues are there in developing countries only, क्योंकि developed world have reached to that level. अब उनके first world problems हैं. They are not involved in problems like this. कि road बनाए कि ना बनाए, वहाँ तो बन चुकी है ना. So they are not going to face this. Hence, Indian bureaucracy requires people who understand these basic issues. If in state of Odisha, after a disaster, parents are forced to sell their children in order to live, can we understand that the same issue might exist in US or European Union? No. This is an issue peculiar to developing countries like India, and that to the poor states. This is the thing. Hence, this is required. Again, just going by the reference example as we have done for prelims. For mains, for example, in 2021, there were a lot of articles. Every year, these articles will come in newspaper related to legislative councils and all those things. So, are we aware about how the houses function? That what are two houses of parliament? Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. What are the two houses in states? Legislative Assembly and Legislative Councils. But there are not many states which are having both the houses. There are just few states which are having legislative councils. Otherwise, other states are having just the assembly. So all these topics come in newspaper. There are opinions on this. So just a minute. Yeah, read this question which was asked in mains 2021. Explain the constitutional provisions under which legislative councils are established. You can only answer when you have read constitution. Review the working and current status of legislative councils with suitable illustration. That means you have to analyze the efficiency of legislative councils also. कुछ states में है, कुछ states में नहीं है. Why is it so? If they are so important, it should be there in every state. And if they are not at all important, it should not be there in any state. But it is there in few states and few states में नहीं है. The point is, why our forefathers designed our constitution in a way that it gave the freedom to the states, that some states can have it and some states cannot have it. कोई तो logic उनके पास होगा हमसे better, जो हम आज ये कह रहे हैं कि या तो हो या तो ना हो. There must be some logic. What are those arguments? There will be few arguments which will support legislative council. There will be few arguments which might go against legislative council. So when we talk about the daily current affairs videos which I am telling you, so for example at Rahul's we used to take DNS, Daily News Simplified, and that is how we used to discuss over there. So here we can see, even if we have not read newspaper, we are starting it from very basics. Which are the states which currently have it? What is the creation and abolition? How they are being created? What is the composition of legislative councils? Then what are the arguments which are against legislative councils? What are the arguments for legislative? That is how we plan our current affairs videos in so much detail, which is anyway going to help you to read newspapers, and through this the static topics will also be revised. Constitution class में पढ़ लिया है, उसके बाद ये वीडियो आया, यहाँ से Constitution दोबारा रिवाइज हो गया for this particular topic. Is it fine to all of you? Yeah, this is a question which came this year only. I am not interested in answering this question. The only thing which I wanted to convey, the question is in relation to Paris Agreement, and the question is mentioning Article 6, Statement 1, Statement 2, Article 6, and Statement 3, Article 6 of this Paris Agreement, that what do these articles talk about? Okay, this question came in this year prelims. Before prelims, we came up with one video. You can see it on our YouTube channel also. It is there, and you can match the dates also. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो उसके बाद डाला गया है. Okay, so it happens because this topic is very important. Now we all understand that Paris Agreement is the soul of international climate change negotiations now. So how can you leave that topic when you are going to prelims or mains? So in this discussion, you can see Article 6.2, Article 6.4, that what are the subject matters of Paris Agreement. It will be told to you in these videos as well as in classes. ठीक है? ऐसे ही करेंगे, इसी से करेंगे. You don't have to multiply resources, you don't have to go to other areas and other sources to follow all these things. जो भी important है, that will be covered eventually. Similarly, another example, river interlinking. Are we aware about river interlinking? So we understand that in India, So that was a bigger plan, that we will link northern perennial rivers with the southern seasonal rivers, but it involved a lot of cost, right? So a lot of issues are there when it comes to river interlinking. The primary objective is what? That you supply the surplus water from one river to a deficit river. In India, we are having two rivers. Yahan pe there is a lot of water and hence we experience floods. Similarly, there is another river where there is no water, and in this region we are facing droughts. So obviously we can connect these rivers now. You supply the excess water to this river so that यहाँ पे फ्लड वाला प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगा, यहाँ पे ड्राउट्स का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगा, ड्रिंकिंग वाटर मिल जाएगा, सारी चीजें पूरी हो जाएंगी. दिस इज वेरी सिंपल थिंग ना. बट अगर इतना ही सिंपल है तो फिर आज तक किया क्यों नहीं है? बिकॉज देयर वुड बी सम इश्यूज इन्वॉल्व. वन इशू इज कॉस्ट, सेकेंड इशू इज लैंड एक्विजिशन, third issue is canal construction, fourth issue is from the environmental perspective also. If you are diverting the water of this river to this river, both of these rivers are different, their climate is different, the rocks on which they are flowing are different, the life which is there in this river versus this river is different. And the life, try to understand it in this perspective, the life which is flowing in this river, let's say fishes, they are in this rivers, we don't know from what time period. So let's assume that they have a migrating pattern, their movement pattern is somewhat like this in the flow direction of river, let's say. And in some seasons they come back and they breed. Let us assume the hypothetical example. Now you have constructed a canal from this river to this particular river. Now that means now the water is moving in two directions. One this and second is this. मछली आई और इधर को बह गई. And those fishes were eventually evolved to flow in this direction. But now, because they were not aware about the interlinking program, because now the water started flowing in this direction, those fishes with the force of water will be diverted here. And now they will end up entering entirely a semi-arid or arid area, which is a drought-prone area. They will die. You imagine it yourselves that now you are moving to your house from, let's say, the center, you are moving towards your home, or किसी कारण से you are diverted to some other place and you are not able to go back to your home now. क्या होगा? The same thing happens with the fishes also. So this is an ecological concern. There is an economic concern. There is a social concern. Land acquisition and compensation to farmers. Right? So these are the reasons we need to understand when we are dealing with any particular topic. That is why UPSC said conflicting socio-economic issues and goals. समझ में आ रहा है, everyone? So, see again the videos, how we cover these topics in videos. So we, with the help of these diagrams, what is the need for river interlinking project? So we'll cover it. Then what are the concerns which are related to river interlinking project? Political concern is also there. A lot of rivers are moving across the state boundaries. For example, Satluj Yamuna link canal, the water is coming from one state to other. If the upstream state is blocking the river water, how will you go for it? There has to be a proper coordination between center and the state governments. So there are a lot of concerns, but again, idea is what? That those all will be covered. And see the question which was asked in 2020. Understand how the UPSC asked the questions. ये कोई मुश्किल question नहीं है. Question is very simple, the things which we have just discussed. The interlinking of rivers can provide viable solutions for the multidimensional interrelated problems of droughts, floods and uninterrupted navigation. सही बात है. Critically examine. That means you have to examine this statement. You have to tell me that how they can tackle droughts, how they can tackle floods, and how uninterrupted navigation can take place. But then there are issues also, because it is asking you critically examination. ऐसे ही पढ़ना है. ठीक है? Now come the last leg, the interview preparation. Now what UPSC expects out of you people from interviews? What is their core demand? जैसे हमने prelims में देखा, हमने mains में देखा, that they expect that you should be aware about the issues. What do they want from you in interviews? They say The interview test is not intended to be a test either of specialized, यहाँ पर भी है, मतलब 3 स्टेजेस में तो यूपीएससी बता रहा है बार बार कि पीएचडी नहीं करनी है. Specialized or general knowledge of the candidate which has already been tested through the written papers. You have reached interview after you have qualified all the papers in mains, GS 1, 2, 3, 4, essay 2, optionals 2, language. तो सारा knowledge वहाँ पे test कर चुके हैं. And therefore they are writing it, that knowledge test, it is not a knowledge test anymore. Candidates are expected to have taken an intelligent interest not only in their special subjects of academy, that is optional, but also in the events which are happening around them, both within and outside their own state or country. This is very important, and there are very high chances, I am telling you, that you people will be well aware about the issues which are taking place globally, that is outside the country. अपने घर में क्या हो रहा है वो नहीं पता होगा. अपने घर में मतलब नॉट इन द कंट्री, कंट्री के नेशनल इश्यूज भी पता होंगे, बट यू माइट नॉट बी अवेयर अबाउट योर स्टेट इश्यूज. आफ्टर दैट, इवन इफ यू आर अवेयर अबाउट द स्टेट इश्यूज, यू माइट नॉट बी अवेयर अबाउट योर इश्यूज विच आर देयर इन योर लोकेलिटी. अब वो ऐसा होगा दैट यू विल एंटर इनटू इंटरव्यू बोर्ड विल बी आस्किंग अबाउट इजराइल ईरान कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, इंडिया पाकिस्तान कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, एंड यू विल बी जस्ट talking like ambassadors, and suddenly one board member might ask you a question that what are the issues at your place where you are living, how the government is working over there, not the state, in your sector, in your locality, in your gully or mohalla. तो वहाँ पे फिर हम blank होंगे. So you have to take interest not only in the special subjects, but also what is happening around you, in your locality, in your state, in your country, and in the world. How will you develop the interest if you are not reading the newspapers? समझ आया? See some of the questions which are asked in the previous interviews. What is your response to the American president's view that Indians are taking away American jobs? Great America, Rise America again. Trump जब पहली बार जब उनकी सरकार आई, so it was, and even this time also the same slogan is there. So because it is directly impacting Indians who are living in America, Indian diaspora is an important part of your static syllabus in international relations GS paper 2. Hence the question. US presidential elections is going. Do you think presidential form of election is good for India? Because India and US is having a different forms of government. We are having a parliamentary form of government. So whenever there will be election in US, because it was in 2020, so hence the question was asked, whenever there will be election in US, कोई ना कोई तो इंडिया में आके बोलेगा इंडिया शुड अडॉप्ट अ प्रेसिडेंशियल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, और उस पर फिर आर्टिकल्स लिखे जाएंगे, एंड हेंस द क्वेश्चन विल कम इन योर इंटरव्यू और मे बी इन मेंस. So how will you write if you are not aware about the features of parliamentary and presidential form of government, and why our constitutional forefathers thought that India will go for parliamentary and we rejected the presidential form of government? Why we adopted? कुछ तो merits रहे होंगे ना उनके मन में. So we have to talk about those merits in interviews also. What is net neutrality? Why is it in news? Again, newspaper. So like this. Again, topics वही रहेंगे. You will be reading about these topics in prelims, in mains, for interviews, from newspapers, from magazines, from teachers. You will be practicing it in prelims test series, in mains test series. Again, I am telling you again that these things will be repeated multiple times, and that is the same thing which you have to do. You have to read all these things multiple times, not from different sources, from the same sources which you will be following in the classes. The more you read, the more you revise, the more you repeat, the less chances would be that you will get failed, and high likely it will be that you will clear this exam. Any question, anyone? These were the things which I wanted to discuss with you people. Any questions related to this thing? Acha, this is one thing. अब इस पे ही बात कर लेते हैं, नोट्स मेकिंग. एनीथिंग, एनी क्वेश्चन टिल नाउ, एनीवन? ऐसे कैसे हो जाता है कि मैं जब बोलता हूँ तो सबको सब क्लियर हो जाता है? There should be some questions. Try to make some questions. If there are no questions, तो वो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं कुछ गलत बोल रहा हूँ क्या? Yeah, roads and trees. Just a minute. Yeah, yes. So you will tell your opinion. How can I tell your opinion? That is the thing. In last class also, as of now, your opinion might not be very different from the person who are there in your family. है ना? Right now, your opinion will be framed when you will be getting all this information. We'll try to understand that what is the importance of road. We'll try to understand what are the importance of trees. We will come out at some conclusion that in some areas roads are more important. Can we have some other things? For example, just to answer your query, India has a law which talks about compensatory afforestation. So it says that if some industrialist or some company is coming and they are going to build roads, so let's say they are cutting down 100 trees. So now they have to plant 400 trees in some other area. एक वे आउट आया ये, अब अच्छा लग रहा है ये वे आउट, लेकिन इस वे आउट के अपने चैलेंजेस हैं. वो जो 400 एरिया कहाँ से लाओगे? Those 400 trees, you are growing it now. What is the guarantee that they will survive? The trees which you have cut down, they were there for last 50 to 70 years. They were fully matured, grown trees. ये ऐसा होगा कि आप अपने घर के बुजुर्ग को मार दो और एक कोई नया बच्चा घर में ले आओ. So it cannot work like this. The carbon sequestration capabilities of a fully grown mature tree will be very different from a plant. कल को हम 400 पौधे लगा के आए और कल बकरी चर गई फिर. So what is the guarantee that those will grow? And what is the guarantee? Here you have cut down a specific variety of tree and you are growing a different variety of tree. So देखो वही होगा. In this preparation, what you people finally will realize that you will be getting a lot of information. Okay? There will be a thesis in your mind, then there will be an antithesis in your mind. There will be an argument in your mind, there will be a counter argument in your mind. After that, you will weigh both of these arguments and then only you can tell कि अब करना क्या है. वो तो आप ही बताओगे. वो कैसे बताना है? We'll talk about it in classes. ये काम ही यही है अब 1 साल तक, और क्या करना है अपने को. We'll be talking about these things only. Right? Any other question? Anyone? Yes, online. Someone was asking the question. Yes. नहीं ठीक है, इस पे ही बात करते हैं. I am of the opinion, again my personal opinion on basis of my experience. When we say that what is the duration for which we have to prepare current affairs? 1 year, 1.5 years. For example, the question which we discussed, Article 6 wala question, it came from Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement was signed in in which year? Sorry, 2021 it was, na? It was COP 15. यार मैं भूल गया, बताओ. Paris Agreement was signed in which year? 2015 ही तो था ना. हाँ, it was COP 21. It was in 2015. COP 21. Right? तो अब वो क्वेश्चन तो 2015 के Paris Agreement से आया है. Should we start preparing current affairs for last 10 years? Okay, so your name is? Arushi is saying कि उस साल कुछ हुआ होगा इसलिए क्वेश्चन आया. Every year there will be a COP meeting. Last year it was COP 29. Every year there will be COP meeting. तो हर साल ही कुछ ना कुछ होगा वो तो. Again, my point is what I want to say. It is not about the timeline that you have to prepare current affairs for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years. Focus on the issues. Article 6 that talks about the carbon market. Carbon market is a persistent issue in international climate change negotiations. Every year you will be getting a lot of articles written on carbon markets in newspapers. हर साल आएंगे वो. This issue is important, hence it is there in paper. For example, governor wala, we discussed that it was there in newspaper. Every year you will be getting a lot of articles talking about the governor's power, talking about the issues related to speaker, talking about the cyclones, talking about the earthquakes. Every year there will be questions on these things. That is why I say that अब ये current affair बचा ही कहाँ जब हर साल आ रहा है. You are reading about them every year. So when we talk about current affairs कि कितना पढ़ना है, the only thing is, even if you are reading, let's say, around 8 to 10 months of current affairs diligently I mean, in these 8 to 10 months of current affairs, let's say if in newspaper or in magazine some scheme is coming, something related to a particular scheme is coming, that scheme might have launched, let's say, in 2021 or 22, 4-5 years back. You have to read about this scheme because it has come in last 8 to 10 months. If you are reading almost everything which is coming in last 8 to 10 months, eventually you will be doing the current affairs for last 1.5 to 2 years. तो ऐसा नहीं जाना है कि हम करंट अफेयर 2 साल का उठा लेंगे. यू आर स्टार्टिंग इट टुडे, start from today. Forget what happened in the past. All of the important topics, which if they are really important, so they will be covered by newspapers in this 1 year time. तो उसका बैकग्राउंड पढ़ो. अगर वो इस 1 साल में नहीं आ रहा है, इसका मतलब वो इंपॉर्टेंट ही नहीं है, तो पेपर में क्यों आएगा? और अगर मान लो आएगा भी, कितने क्वेश्चंस आएंगे? करंट अफेयर्स के टोटल क्वेश्चंस हमने बात करी 15 हैं. There are 15 to 20 questions which are coming in prelims. Out of these, let's say 15 to 20 questions, how many questions do you think will be from, let's say, 2 years current affairs which are not issue based, जो कि एक ही बार आया और लास्ट टू लास्ट ईयर ही आया? एक या 2 क्वेश्चन ना छोड़ देंगे इनको. We cannot answer every question and we don't want to answer every question because it will be energy consuming. There will be a very poor cost benefit analysis. तो क्यों करेंगे हम? Right? So focus from the day one, whatever you are reading, either current affairs, static, आज से शुरू कर रहे हैं, आज से ही पढ़ेंगे. Fine. Should we move ahead? Just few things are remaining. Notes making, how to make notes, and why do we say the opinion which I gave you, that why notes making, how it has to be done, whether it has to be done from newspapers or not. So let us try again with an example. You will read a text. Are you all awake? Okay. So you have to read a text. The text is this. Read it. And now you will tell me, read it completely, thoroughly, and open your notebook with a pen. Be ready with a pen and write important things according to you, which you think that it should be there in your notes, which are important from this article and can be asked in prelims question, because we know prelims paper is very factual in nature. Facts पूछे जाते हैं. So this is my instruction. Now try it. 30 seconds. 1 minute. Okay. Read it carefully and write the important things for notes. साथ साथ लिखते भी रहो, या फिर कुछ भी इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है इसमें. कीप राइटिंग द इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग्स. Done? समझ नहीं आ रहा है? नेक्स्ट पार्ट ऑल्सो. Done. So should we try? Okay. So it says the output of 8 core sector industries shrank from fourth straight month in June 2020. Is this line important? If yes, what is important, or if it is not important, then let me know. Yes. इसमें से कुछ लिखा है, इस लाइन में से नोट्स में कुछ लिखा है. So how many core sectors are there? Then there is a trend that industries shrank for the fourth straight month in June 2020. Is this important? It is basically telling about the trend of these industries. So it shrank for 4 continuous months in this. Although the contraction eased to 15%, showing some recovery from the 22% fall in May. Is this important? Okay. According to the data released by the Commerce Ministry on Friday, Commerce Ministry, that who is releasing the data related to core sectors, economists expected the negative trend to continue for at least 2 more months. Is this important? इसमें से from this paragraph, except these 2 informations, nothing is important. Why? Try to understand it. All these trends are fluctuating trends. Those trends are not important which are changing every month. The trends are important which change over let's say 5 years or 10 years. Or if there is a change in a trend which was continuing for 10 years and now there is a sudden change in this year, then that becomes important. हर महीने का ट्रेंड कैसे याद रखोगे? किस महीने में बढ़ रहा था, घट रहा था, स्टेबल हुआ? We cannot do it, and it is not asked by UPSC also. Is this clear? Yeah. Then it would have been important. Yes. If the trend is talking about a longer period, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, then it becomes important. Fine. No, this is also not important. All these minute datas are not important. Okay. Next, of the 8 core sectors, the fertilizer industry was the only one which saw actual growth in June with output. Now see, this is an exception. Hence it becomes important for that particular period. Because out of 8 sectors, there was just 1 sector which was positive and all others were declining. Hence this is an exception. Exceptions are important. Fine. And from this there should be a question that which are the 8 core sectors. तो वो प्रिपेयर कर सकते हैं अपने आप, ठीक है. This however is lower than the May etc. ठीक है, वो obviously we are not interested in monthly datas and their trend analysis. The remaining industries showed the contradiction. Fine, done. The national lockdown, because it was a COVID time, national lockdown may have been lifted. Fine. So have you understood what things are important? Now see the UPSC question. Just a minute. Yeah. Prelims question. In the index of 8 core industries, which one of the following is given the highest weight? How? तो ग्रोथ देखा गया फर्टिलाइजर में, वेट की बात थोड़ी हुई है. नॉट नेसेसरी. अगेन आंसर इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, पॉइंट वही इंपॉर्टेंट है. इट माइट हैपन, sorry, I want to say, how can you answer this question if you are not aware about the difference between weight and growth? What do we mean by weight? It might happen the industry which is having a lower weight, that is a lower share, growth rate would have been higher for it. ऐसा हो सकता है. What do we mean by weight? Weight means, let's say this is a class, here students are sitting and I am a teacher. So for example, let's take a voting right. So there are 10 people and one person vote is 5 units and other 9 people are having just one unit of vote. Not every person is having equal vote. So this is a weight. The person who is having 5 units of vote, उसका weight ज़्यादा हो गया ना. लेकिन ऐसा हो सकता है growth rate जो है वो बाकी जो लोग हैं उनका ज़्यादा हो जाए. वो मरी गया 5 यूनिट वाला आदमी और बाकी इन्होंने वोट दे दिया. हो सकता है. So growth and weight might not be interconnected. But again, concluding this on the same line, that you will be able to make notes out of these current affairs again only when you are well versed with the basic topics. So you don't have to start note making from day one, either for current or from newspaper or from static subject. If you start note making from day one, let's say we started with NCERT geography. If you start making notes of NCERT geography, I am pretty much sure after 1 month, you will just see you have replicated the entire NCERT geography in your notes. Because as of now, everything in the NCERT would be important for you. तो जब तो दोबारा NCERT लिखने का फायदा क्या हुआ? वो तो लिखा ही हुआ था. Notes have to be precise, which can be revised when you are approaching exam. And how can you write precise notes? Only you can write precise notes when you have understood the basic things. Now you know that which things are important for exam, only those you will be writing, not everything. Hence, no note making from day one. Is this clear to everyone online, offline? कब notes बनाने शुरू करने होंगे वो हम बताएंगे. ठीक है? Done है? Yes. Now, any person having any question? Yes, Shiva? I didn't get you, Shiva. I didn't get you. This type of, yes. Huh. Fine. So got it. So every data is released at a specific time period. Okay. There are few data which are released monthly. There are few data which are released quarterly. There are few data which are released bi-monthly. There are few data which are released yearly. So for all the data which are having the frequency of less than 1 year, generally those data are not important until and unless there is some exception to a long-term trend, as we discussed. Which data are important? How we have to study that data? How we have to analyze that data? Again, yeah. Yes. So are you asking that how to, for example, in this piece of information, it was just a monthly and quarterly data, how you will be preparing yearly data for this? Is this your question? Yeah. Shrank for the 4 straight months in June 2020. So 4 months. That is 3 months before June 2020, na? Huh? Yeah. 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 Yeah, second scenario. Yeah, yes. In June 1885. Yeah, yeah. Okay. This is your doubt. Yes. So you cannot make sense out of it from this piece of information, because this piece of information is not the entire article from newspaper. This piece of information on this screen was having a specific objective to tell you that whether such data are important or not. That was the objective. This is not the entire article. There are a lot of things which were written before this paragraph also and after that also. So it might happen that this doubt would be resolved from reading that entire article. But that was not my purpose. So why would I bring that entire article here? Yeah. True. Obviously, these are just the selected portions which I have covered. Na? This is not the entire article. For example, here in this thing which we were discussing for just a minute. Yeah, this is the entire article for WTO. But I just brought this small piece out of this entire article. Why? Because it is having a different purpose. Obviously, there will be a lot of things in that article. It might happen that they have written something about amber box subsidy also, blue box subsidy also, that what do we mean by it. But from that entire article, these are just few lines which I took, just to make my point clear to all of you. Fine? Done. Any person, any question? Some curious minds? Offline? Okay, so should we move? Fine, all of you are connected in a WhatsApp group, right? So that means you all are having our numbers also. So still, if you have some doubt related to this, obviously you can WhatsApp us too. अगर कभी भी होता है ना क्लास के बाद बत्ती जलती है, right? So whenever the question hits your mind, just drop a message. जली? हाँ. By when? So this is a ladder. Okay. So let's assume its height is 100 meters. There is a child who is having a height of just, let's say, 6. No, child cannot be 6 feet. The child is 3 feet. The child has barely learned to walk. वो चल चलते गिर भी रहा है, ठीक है? Now this child is thinking to climb that 100 meters. But this child, if is unaware that the child has to cover this 100 meters of height, then there are better chances that he will make it. If you tell this child that you have to go till 100 meters climbing every ladder, so he will be having a self doubt कि अगर मैं 10 मीटर चल नहीं पा रहा हूँ, मैं गिर जा रहा हूँ, so how will I move to this height? So a better strategy is, do not overthink. Do not think about all these things. कि वहाँ कैसे पहुँचना है? What should be the depth? What will be the width? Trust yourself. All of you are matured enough. When you will be starting these things, when you will gradually, like a child, you will be taking off first steps, second step, third steps, everything automatically will be cleared. You will not have to ask us again and again. बट अगर डे 1 पे हम ये सोचेंगे, मतलब डराने को मैं डरा सकता हूँ, लेकिन मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं क्यों ही डराऊं जब आप लोग पहले से इतना डरे हुए होगे, तो वाई शुड आई डू दैट, वो तो ऑलरेडी हो चुका है, राइट? बट अगेन आई एम टेलिंग यू दिस थिंग, presently we are living in the era of information surplus, so you will be getting a lot of information from YouTube related to the UPSC preparation. You will be hearing a lot of toppers कि मैं सोते सोते आंसर लिखता था and hence I could clear this exam. तो अब आपने सोते सोते नहीं लिखना है, अच्छे से सो, जब उठो तब लिखो, फाइन? So don't think much about it. Abhi, we are in this orientation induction classes. Just give your 100% to these classes. When we'll be starting the subjects, give 100% to those subjects. We'll move gradually step by step. And you will, I'm very sure, in 2 months of span, you will see a drastic change in your preparation. All these things, all these doubts and concerns will be eventually resolved. Not by us, by your people only. अपने आप ही हो जाएगा वो सब कुछ, ठीक है? Fine, everyone? Okay. So, yes? This one? Yes, sir. Yeah. So in this, yeah. That is important, but how do you think, like, what question UPSC will frame to ask you this piece of information? Fine. So let's say if I am framing a question and one statement I am giving you that a normal rainfall will be good for agriculture. This is a statement. तो ये तो अगर नहीं भी पढ़ा है तो भी you will mark it correct ना? Yes. Normal rainfall will be good for agriculture, so you can obviously mark it correct on your own, right? This. It is only thing important is that cement, fertilizers, etc. are the part of core industry. The trend of individual industry is not important. The trend of index of core industry is important. वो पढ़ाया जाएगा. Every industry nahi, because then you will be lost in this data and UPSC is not going to ask it. It is not expected out of you. It is expected out of an economist that he or she should be aware about all these economic data. And UPSC has told you that you should not be aware about these minute data. Just the major data. For example, GDP trends, inflation trends, repo rate trends, etc. from economy. Done? So thank you everyone. We'll meet tomorrow. Tomorrow you will be having a polity orientation class. Would be taken by Gaurav Sir. Done? Same time. Thank you everyone. Okay. Okay, all the best. Yes, UP